pick up games, even if they lost consecutive matches. And now Afreeca's on red side. They already pulled off the flex of the Rumble to the jungle in game 1. We've seen them do some interesting flexes on red side, like, for example, the Galio to the support role. So the headaches for SKT in the draft phase are likely to continue in this one.
Yeah, and we have to look back at, their most recent series as well, actually losing one game in their series against Rocks, but they won both of their red side games. Afreeca feeling very comfortable when they're in the red, despite the color of their logo.
And SKT are like, we need to ban some of Marin's champions. They ban away the Rumble. I like the fact that you talked about champion pools. Effective champion pool for Huni. We mentioned it pre-series. Rumble, Kennen, that part, you're like, okay, Lucian, Cassiopeia, only champions he's won with. Untara, in his 13-game streak, very much has played the meta. 4 wins on Rumble, 2 wins on Jarvan, 2 wins on Renekton. Huni hasn't even played a Renekton game this season, so they do get more conventional options. Looking at the pick ban, in terms of what's available, all junglers largely available. SKT putting a very high priority onto the Taliyah.
Yeah, going to be taken away again. They picked it up first last time around as well, if you remember back. But Afreeca have a lot of options now. Braum, like they banned on the blue side the last time.
Braum Xayah is an opportunity here. Xayah has been the big pick for Kramer when Kalista and Caitlyn not been available. Could see
SKT another option, Papa Smithy.
See SKT taking the Xayah as well. Yeah, the Braum Sejuani. First round, a possibility.
Braum Cho'Gath makes a whole lot more sense, though, Papa Smithy.
But the synergy with the Gargo Stoneplate, no.
Oh!
It's going to be Spirit, probably on Elise. That's his most played this season. That's one of his legacy picks as well. Braum Elise tells you one thing, and that's definitely a lot of headaches when it comes to crowd control. A lot of gank pressure early as well.
And a lot of pick potential at the same time. If Afreeca can get to any position where they have vision control over an area of contention, I have a feeling SKT just won't be able to walk anywhere near it. Peanut is going to lock away the Gragas extraordinarily quickly, though, as SKT could now find themselves in another Cogmore draft position if they want to.
This time with the Gragas, though, who was what they wanted in Game 1 that was banned away. They'd probably have to take it now, otherwise the bans could come towards the AD carry role in the next round. Waiting to see. Bang and Koma talking. They're actually going to draft Lulu, interestingly, in this spot. Expected to be support, given they have a Taliyah already. Lulu is the most played for Wolf this season, but out of meta. Lulu, Karma, Malzahar, that was the bot lane support meta last season. This season has been different. So Afreeca with the option of the Corki into Taliyah or taking the Xayah before it's banned. Choose their AD carry, choose their hyper carry, and they do get to ban away Cogmore Twitch, which you have to imagine is the duo they're going to look at from Bang.
Yeah, Bang can, there are other hyper carries that he can then go to. You think down that list.
Tristana.
But yeah, Tristana, Jinx, other options most certainly there, but
I wonder if Bang would play Vayne. He's played it a bit in solo queue.
Ooh.
That would be a spicy one, but they have to know they'll get the double ban onto the AD carries, so that part is expected.
Yeah, getting the Prophet title for that one is not too difficult if you guys were playing at home, as Renekton is going to be taken away from Marin as well, so his two of his most successful champions already banned, which is normally what people do against the Afreeca Freecs.
You could just take Jarvan here and have it as an answer to inevitable hyper carry number X on the side of Bang. Yeah. They're actually just going to take Kassadin for lane. Definitely going to be a risk. We saw SKT try to make that work last time and get preyed upon in terms of wave clear. So wave clear from Xayah is going to be there. Waiting to see what Marin's pick is. SKT could just go standard as well. So with all the meta hyper carries taken away, for now they're measuring out the most played for Bang this season, which would be the Ashe.
Also not necessarily your build up the AD carry type champion, but has worked in the past. And certainly for Bang, as far as getting damage down in a team fight, he often goes that Hurricane build and can do a lot of work, and there, exactly like you were talking about, Untara spamming the Jax in solo queue, and predictably is going to pick that for the top side of the map. So the 4-1 composition once again from SKT, but they have the collapse potential of the Weaver's Wall from Faker to try and help him out if he is in that 1v1 and isn't necessarily winning.
So Marin has drafted Jarvan into Jax as recently as earlier this week for team comp to try and make plays around the map. It is a self-counter pick in terms of the extended laning phase, but he goes for it from the ability to try to lock down immobile carries, and guess what? It's Taliyah and Ashe again. So he's going to draft Jarvan for team comp. This is why I'm skeptical about how SKT have been using Untara, because if you look at their scrims, obviously you can't look at their scrims, but if you look at their solo queues, they are both most played Jax in the past 7 days. So they're not having one player play the meta Renekton and main meta top laners. We're having both players go for split push, and Huni has the mechanics lead over Untara. Maybe Untara's decision-making, given Huni's recent issues in that area, might be slightly better. But if you're bringing in Untara and throwing him on the Jax, it does make you wonder.
It certainly does. I'm looking at the side of Afreeca because there are signs on their draft as well that are making you wonder at the same time, because this looks very similar to the Game 1 draft against Samsung from SKT. Not a lot of ranged wave clear. Xayah, sort of one of these champions that can't really clear away from massively high range until you get a rapid fire cannon and things like that. You can use that Blade Caller to do some of the work.
So much is on the jungle. So much is on Elise to baby Caston through the early levels. If Jarvan gets ahead, his teleport can be used. Caston does well over time into Talia, but there's no guarantee that they'll work out.
But Afreeca Freecs, if they can do anything, they can create early game leads. We'll see where the Spirit is going to be playing on point this time around as well on the Elise, a champion he's had so much success on. Let's not waste any time. Let's get onto the Rift.
Desperate voice from some of those SKT fans. The entire studio is full. This was the premium ticket this week. People love to see so many stars on the Rift. Afreeca Freecs postured very aggressively, trying to make something out of the concussive blows at level 1.
Yeah, I like that one a lot. Not going to find Peanut with it though, as the Afreeca Freecs didn't quite see the debonair Gragas. As well, Wolf, 300 games. Congratulations. Big round of applause from the crowd. If you guys sitting at your computer at home, have a clap. That would be nice.
One of the longest tenured players in the league now. Marin would be up there if he hadn't had his journey over to China.
Yes, LPL jaunt, as it were.
It's around 265 games himself, so likely to reach that number if he sticks with Afreeca next year.
SKT fans here in the audience, desperate for a game number 3. I know I'd be pretty happy for one as well.
I'd be stoked. I'd love to see a game 3. Afreeca definitely have taken some gambits with this draft. There's much less guaranteed than there was in game 1. SKT spotted an award going for some deep vision. They get the 2 wards down. It's just information for their side, and it's a cool contest. Top laner and mid laner contesting the small Raptors.
Yeah, and of course utilizing the Counter-Strike, which is fantastic for dealing with the Raptor camp. Good adaptation. Level 1 with a Jax on your team. Peanut's going to have the popcorn chicken lead in the jungle matchup.
And that means the Spirit is going to rush towards enemy blue buff and look for a steal. With that thought, Peanut is also skipping a buff. Spirit was caught doing this recently. They notice that the blast cone is down. They know what's up.
Yeah, he's going to move straight over there, but was denied his Raptor camp there as well, as he had to move. Yeah, Spirit's going to get up here as well. So Untara actually was tanking creeps for a long time there.
Just ganking for damage.
Does do a lot of it as well as the red buff. Ticking down onto Untara. Getting Jarvan any sort of lead in this early game as well is good. You saw that Untara was using his Counter-Strike to great effect to make sure that Marin was struggling here in this lane.
And the early levels, Jarvan wins this pretty significantly. Jax has to use a very long cooldown ability to win trades, and when the Counter-Strike is down, he can be turned on pretty easily. But over time, there is an inevitability about the split push pressure. That is not necessarily an inevitability about the victory. Jax has a very low win rate in the LCK. Conventional comps have worked against him, and Jarvan is so guaranteed in his initiation that when you're as on the ball with your teleports as Marin has been historically, there still are good options for Afreeca. Bigger question marks around the mid lane, where as long as Kuro can stay competitive, he can do some great things post-6 in the lane.
Well, now he's just struggling to get towards any creeps in order to kill them as well. You can see actually able to stay within touching distance. He's going to teleport back to this lane in order to keep his health bar a little bit healthier. See what he actually is able to pick up. So not going to go with any Doran's Ring, just going to go with the Ruby Crystal to make sure that that Rod of Ages happens as quickly as possible. And yeah, Marin's being a bully again on the top side of the map.
It's all he knows, Atlas.
I know. He knows being a bully and taking turret shots.
Oh, he knows how to overextend.
Oh, his ability to take turret shots is second to none. I would say he's probably taken the most turret shots out of any LCK player.
He may have.
I want that stat. That is a cool stat.
We never talk about underextending, but he definitely overextends.
Oh, yeah. Who's the most underextending player in the LCK?
Oh, it's just some top laner that gets dominated. Roach, for example. Maybe he underextends the most from last season on Come To Monster.
I don't know. I want that stat as well.
Marin lives to use his damage poke abilities off cooldown.
I think Marin knows that his health bar is a resource more than any other player, so likes to take turret shots to use his resources.
My favorite stat is that in 342 career games, now 343, Marin has never played Jace.
Yeah, it's crazy.
He overextends like a beast.
It seems like the perfect Marin champion.
What,
dominate lane against all odds, against all costs?
Any champion that can blind pick shove. It sounds like Marin's wet dream, but he's never played a competitive game of Jace.
We still haven't seen Marin's final form, obviously.
It looks a lot like Jace.
Spoiler. Sorry, I shouldn't be saying that word with Game of Thrones coming out very soon.
Oh, we definitely can't have any Game of Thrones spoilers.
Oh, no. Just can't even say the word spoiler when Game of Thrones is on. Ridiculous. Okay, half health bar on Antara up top lane as Tucson's going aggressive, but Bang is going to get stunned, but still going to win that trade. Spirit, yeah, he's making his way in. Just not going to stop as the Cocoon is going to land on the Wolf. Look at the burst damage. Just one more auto is going to be stunned as now.
It's going to be a turn.
Yeah, Peanut makes his way through, but Spirit gets out so nicely. They do get the flash and the heal out of Kramer, which is important, but Tucson still has his. Wolf with the Ignite there as well.
Fortunately, had a minion to taxi to. If all the minions had died, would have had to flash defensively there, Spirit, who very much is on the Turbo Elise side of the coin, trying to help out his laners. When you have the Cass in the mid lane, anything that helps you have more presence on the map is definitely highly encouraged.
Look at this. I mean, you got one lane winning for Afreeca, and that's Marin on the top side of the map, but we know Antara is going to have a decent capability to outscale as the game moves on. But look, Kramer struggling on the bottom side to even pick up any of this farm underneath the turret because of all of the harassment coming out. And what that is spelled is a 12 CS lead for the Ashe. Oh, and Peanut just casually barrels away the big puppy.
I think SKT have surprised Afreeca with their draft of Ashe. I think they would have expected something like Tristana coming through or some sort of semblance of a carry. This is the first time we've seen SKT embrace the lane kingdom in quite a while.
Yeah.
And by that I mean just picking solely for winning lanes. Ashe Lulu is about the strongest bot lane we've seen in the LCK in a while, in terms of just two ranged auto attackers, high harass, win lane at all costs, even stronger than most Zyra lanes, I would posit. Taliyah does heavily beat Kuro in terms of pressure on the Kassadin early.
Oh, the dream.
Oh, there's a receipt.
That was absolutely amazing. I just felt really good, Pop Smithy, I'm not going to lie to you.
This time SKT have two winning lanes and Jax who will split push and also scale into winning. So you can understand that SKT have adjusted their draft again, but yet the optimism is still kind of mixed.
Yeah, I don't know whether you'd really write any checks just yet, Pop Smithy.
Yeah, don't bet on SKT.
No, not quite yet.
Advice no one has ever given.
I know, right? It's normally the easiest bet ever is Bang. Not going to get stunned, but does take a fair bit of damage. Kramer's going to leave some feathers behind just to remind him that he took damage. Spirit grabs his red buff, but Ward is being put down as Antara goes on a bit of a mission.
It's actually pretty impressive that Spirit rushed Moby Boots and maintained most of the control of his jungle. Certainly could have gone a lot worse because the level 1 plan onwards from SKT was to target Spirit in particular, given that Spirit was the swing for the Kassadin and the bot lane matchups. So he went Moby Boots. Hasn't necessarily been well held in any sense of the word, and the game has gone better than expected for Spirit.
Well, now Kuro taking a bit of damage here from Faker, but it feels like poking the bear at this stage. Level 7 now for Kuro. That Riftwalk available, able to be stacked up to do some extra damage. Things are going to get more and more dangerous for the Taliyah. And now that Faker doesn't have any mana left, he's going to need that blue buff that Peanut has thankfully just put up for him. Okay, Spirit is lurking on this bottom side, but it's probably pretty obvious for SKT as Bang throws a hawk shot and spots him out.
I wonder what the brief is from Peanut, because he has so much vision in the enemy blue side jungle as a control ward in the river, and yet somehow Kassadin is getting his blue buff. I think in previous seasons, spring season for example, Lulu would invade with the Gragas, they take away Kassadin's blue, and it would make sense that they've tracked the enemy jungler for this long. Why not make the team pay in a real fashion? Instead, Spirit is able to pass off his blue, and all this information about the enemy jungler, it really hasn't translated into much.
Now Peanut is just going to face check Spirit as well. Thankfully, Cocoon goes wide. Yeah, you're right. It's not really feeling like the capitalization of a Kassadin draft.
What's the point of having 5 control wards on the map? It's 4 or 5. I believe it is 4. And just not being able to steal away camps, not being able to contest objectives. The Ocean Drake, not the highest in terms of early claim. But it's one of those cases where you look at the vision, you're like, perfect, about the best it can be. You even have a hawk shot as well. But what it's translated into is, you know, a farm fest for Afreeca, who have the Kassadin coming online as the game goes on.
Yeah, and you look down towards the bottom side of the map, you feel like Kramer's probably going to scale a whole lot better as well. It's only the top side that SKT really do have that kind of advantage. Tara isn't too far behind. Marin, it's going to offer something different. I feel like it's not necessarily what you think about without scaling, because a Jarvan in a team fight feels a lot better than a Jax a lot of the time, especially when he's piloted by Marin, even if he is taking a hell of a lot of damage underneath his turret.
Every time he uses Q, you wonder if Untara is going to unload everything and flash in. Marin's going for a pretty greedy back, all things considered. He still has a corrupting potion charge going. Outside chance a turret dive comes in.
Thankfully, Faker has been seen on the map, so Afreeca not going to tell Marin that he's inevitably going to be ganked. Talia up towards the top side of the map does like preying on top laners, especially at this time of the game, but often it's when you have a champion like an Elise. Seismic Shove not going to find Kuro as Faker takes a lot of damage. Even a turret shot there as Peanut thankfully here to save him. Yeah, the flash actually coming down. No Cocoon. He's going to land, but they're still doing a lot of damage. First Blood manages to go to Spirit, but he is going to be answered immediately afterwards. Freecs probably still happy for this trade.
Oh, perfect trade. Faker's out of the lane. The preferential push is going to come through from Kuro, but top lane is where the problem does start. Antara's not going to be able to take down the turret. Gets a bit of turret damage, and Jarvan is going to return to a lane that already is starting to heavily swing towards the Jax.
Yeah, he's got that shove happening very, very well thus far. Thankfully for Marin, he's going to be able to get in here in order to clear out that minion wave, and he's still 10 CS in the lead, but giving any sort of experience advantage, anything like that, to Antara will be a dangerous time. And look at this tower very, very low at the same time. So SKT should be getting themselves to an even further gold lead as these structures start to fall down. Have been doing a lot of work in that regard. Even the mid lane down to just above half health.
The way this played out was Marin called a lot of ganks top lane to shut down Shy, who was quite ahead, you remember. Very early Trinity Force on Shy.
Yeah.
When they played this matchup, Rocks Tigers against Afreeca Freecs earlier this week, and then got the job done in team fights. Kept assassinating enemy Orianna, enemy Ashe. We're going to see a replay. Full rotation from Kuro because Faker walked up. He takes a turret shot as well and flashes her up. Nothing Faker can do. Ends up falling, and when you allow the Kassadin to get the push in the lane and recall, that's the bigger win. Look at this. It's actually a Rod of Ages almost on time from the Kassadin.
Yeah, it's already done. So 12 minutes in, something like that, and this was a rough lane. I mean, you're laning against Faker's Talia, which is not exactly something to scoff about.
And with a Kassadin and a Jarvan who was losing trades, they actually get a Rift Herald, which,
yeah, if
you consider where the game was at, that was not something SKT had in the script.
And also now, with the fact that every sort of lane hasn't
been
pushing
straight
forward,
up.
Yeah, looking to try and grab this turret.
They won't get first brick.
Yeah, first brick will go down for SKT, but it will be immediately answered, which is not something that we were expecting.
Boop.
Okay, boop. They might even be able to get another chargey on this.
I don't think it's worth it. They don't have enough vision to put down as they go through the enemy jungle, but blue buff is spawning, so we'll see how much of a contest there is on both the inner turret and the enemy blue. Recall is being channeled by Spirit.
SKT going to use this moment to take down the dragon, understanding that Afreeca were towards the top side of the map. And Spirit had shown means that this is basically free. Crow going to clear out some vision, but otherwise, Freecs no opportunity to chase that one down. But it's an Ocean Drake You could imagine that Afreeca Freecs not too worried about giving one of those up here in this early game, and probably just happy for SKT to tick it over towards the Infernal Drake, which is Dragon number 2.
And Afreeca will accept trades. Any sort of trade is fine when Xayah is still 2.5 items short of where she wants to be teamfight ready. 2 is even the first time she'll really approach fights with confidence. 3 is the gold standard. Mid lane.
Whoa, that's a flash from Maren. He really likes taking turret shots, guys. So flashes to get one of his collection on the mid lane. Doesn't get an opportunity for mid lane out of turret shots, which are at a premium for Maren.
They have a control ward here, so he's not spotted. They're going very hard for this.
Untara is most certainly dead. There's the Cataclysm. And Spirit's going to be the one to pick that one up. I believe that was a Spiderling auto attack, and that's why you don't walk through the darkness. There be spiders in that jungle.
Yeah, Jarvan and Elise is the Bruce Brothers, really. When you think about it, if the cocoon lands, it's so much consistent CC and burst damage that it wasn't the person they were intending to take, but they rotate Kramer and Tucson mid lane. They want them to be laning 2v2.
Oh, wow. Good reaction there from Kramer. Ultimate for ultimate traded. Arrow soars towards the top side, but Maren not going to get hit by that.
That's great lane assignment for Afreeca. They're happy to put Kramer and Tucson mid lane for as long as possible. Tucson can put down wards, walk up, shield the next Ash arrow. Kassadin's happy to be in a side lane with teleport, and they find a safe place to inch Kramer towards his items.
Yeah. And now we've reached completely even gold as well, as Maren clears out the rest of that minion wave. We'll be ahead by about 25 CS, feeling pretty good, building towards that Black Cleaver. Is item number 2 very, very soon after the Tiamat is already completed. Now Kuro, we'll see where he goes next. Doesn't have a whole lot of mana, but he's going to grab a blue buff and head back home, gets himself his Mercury's Treads and Aether Wisp. So heading towards the Lich Bane is item number 2 instead of something like a Zhonya's. I like it. Aggressive. Doesn't feel like the old utility Kuro at all. Feels like a man who wants to kill people.
Yeah, same build that we saw Faker go for. I like it in this game because the game is going to be all about how much can Afreeca make with their teleports while Untara is trying to split push for victory. So it's all about doing the maximum damage with the double teleport, because in long lanes the Jax should win out. I want to draw our viewers' attention to some of the games that Untara's played, because people, they're ragging on Huni right now, understandably with all the losses recently and with Untara's win streak. Face checks Peanut.
Well, Peanut face checks Kuro. Who face checks who right now? As the Rift Walk is going to come down. There's the flash.
Very nice.
Gets him out of the way.
Okay.
Peanut is in enemy territory right now as Spirit gets over. Just is going to lap
now
up
Faker's
that kill.
overextended.
Yeah. Tucson's just going to make his way through. Wolf's down there, but Spirit is going to get picked off. Bang is going to make his way in. There's a cancelled teleport from a counter-strike on the top side of the map. As there's the wild growth. Decent damage from Kuro, but he has to try and get himself in there. Good exhaust onto Faker as Kramer finally making his way down, but he gives up on the chase. And Kuro just sacrifices himself for his support player. It's one pick, but it's not enough, and that was just fantastic. The stop of the teleport from Maren, brilliant from Untara.
They had to use so many resources to finally kill Peanut. Then in the end, they were able to clean it up. Preferentially there, Kuro goes down, uses flash, and so does Spirit as well. Lulu in the right position at the right time. Faker playing with fire, but in that case, successful.
He's going to back successfully there as well.
I think Kuro kind of surprised himself with how much burst he did, and then they were baited into continuing on with the fight. The Weaver's Wall doesn't accomplish anything in this particular regard because Faker has heal. They keep inching forward, and then the moment they were like, wait, could it be a double kill? That's when the greed was too much from Afreeca.
And there's the stop on the teleport there as well. So Afreeca honestly could have just got out. They could have. They had that option to them, but minions did a heck of a lot of damage.
I mean, the last call would have been that Maren was coming.
Yeah.
And then by the time that they'd been in position to profit off that, it was too late. So credit to Untara. Actually had to use his flash. It was a flash leap strike to make it happen. But it meant a lot in the context of the game. There's people coming to help out Maren, but they're not here yet.
Yeah, Tucson's going to make his way through. Maren does have the ultimate available once again. But as Tucson turns up, SKT are going to back themselves away. Peanut deciding that he wants to go aggressive, but thankfully for the Afreeca Freecs, they do have the opportunity to clean out the minion wave. And you've got Kuro splitting on the bottom side. Bang looking for some damage here, but Kramer's going to turn up in the mid lane. And decent lane assignments for Afreeca means they should be able to defend all of their turrets and get some meaningful damage down bot lane. And a teleport from Untara.
They draw the teleport. There was no sheen on Kuro, so it would have taken too long to finish off the turret. That's why they were happy to use the teleport. They knew if 100% it would answer it. This is still the gold standard for Afreeca Freecs. They still really want Kramer trading CS with Bang in the mid lane. They really trust in the 3-item spike from the Xayah that is still quite a long way away.
Yeah, still needs to finish off his Zeal as well. I mean, you feel good once you've got the Essence Reaver and a Zeal because at least you've got some meaningful cooldown reduction from that one. More Blade Callers is good, but still not going to be feeling too bad with the 22 CS disadvantage because, yes, you do want to get towards that late stage of the game, and especially with this build, he's moving there quite nicely.
All the kills are on Spirit, which is not ideal from the Afreeca Freecs side. Whereas Faker has 2 of the 3 on the side of SKT. Good CS lead in the mid lane and a decent one between the duo lanes, what represents the 600 gold lead, but certainly nothing massive. Rift Herald was a bit against the run of play. The Infernal Drake would be another such thing, so Kuro gonna have his back interrupted.
Yeah, or is Untara going to get baited in to being taken down? Good double stun comes in, but he can't get out of this Cataclysm as Tucson sets himself up. Oh, the Wild Growth comes in! Glacial Fissure's going to get a knock-up, but Kuro is going to get the kill with a Riftwalk. Faker makes his way down, but he gets Cocoon, takes a lot of damage. Marin, double knock-up on both of the carries, and Spirit tries to get himself in there. Double kill for Kuro, and you do not want the Kassadin popping off if you're an SKT fan.
The interrupt was clutch, but the turnaround was even better. Afreeca were ready to fight for the Infernal, and thus they were ready to turn onto the Jax. We talked about Hooney's indecision and wrong decisions recently. We have to call out Untara in that spot as well. Afreeca won't be able to turn it into a Baron, which is just spawn. They can at least get the Honey Fruit and clear out the Vision.
Yeah. Peanut's going to make his way in there as well. I mean, if they had Vision on Wolf, they might have actually taken that one down. As Baron looking to try and take down Kuro. Peanut wants to knock him over the edge, but he's going to get himself out. Decent health bar on this Rod of Ages.
Bit of feeling between those two, of course.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Ex-Rocks Tigers teammates.
Or maybe they were just waving hello. Maybe the old chat was, oh, hey, man. How you doing?
All love's lost when you're on the Rift.
Yep, it's very true. Spirit takes a lot of damage underneath this turret, but is going to successfully defend it. And Afreeca Freecs, in the meantime, managed to take down the bottom outer turret. So that's going to mean an 1,000 gold lead for the Afreeca Freecs instead of SKT, who were holding on to a small gold lead for the majority of this game.
And I was speaking about the SKT fans, and their optimism around Untara, who has been good. Remember, he was on CJ Entus, got relegated, played solo queue, tried to get noticed through that in spring season. Lots of teams contacted him because he was doing so at 2 accounts in top 5 challenger, ended up on SKT, and is on a 13-game win streak. But if you think about some of his victories, I think to his Fiora games, for example, he's kind of lost lane or been behind in lane. SKT have played a really tight macro game as a 4-man unit, and then eventually the Trinity Force Fiora or the other split pushes he's played have been able to get over the line. It hasn't been Untara hard carrying. So now, with SKT's macro a bit under the microscope with their recent struggles, I'd like to see Untara actually step up and be a match winner, because he hasn't needed to be for the majority of his success.
Well, right now he's trying to, as the Cocoon is going to go wide. Might mean the death of Marin, but no, it doesn't. Just Tiamat's him right at the last second and baits it in perfectly once again. And yeah, I'd like to see it as well, Papa Smithy, but it doesn't look like it's happening this game so far.
Doesn't mean the game is decided. He's had Fiora games that are similar. He still has hit his items at a good speed, and they still have CS advantages in all 3 carries. Wow!
Spirit is everywhere on the map right now. Grabs himself another kill. Doesn't even need to repel as he wanders himself out. And this is why he has more than double the kills of the rest of his team.
I'm just impressed they can make an orbital strike out of those 3 champions. Braum, Elise, and also using the Featherstorm to this instant one-shot Bang, who did not have summoners up. They're going to take another turret. Afreeca are so decisive. And you can hear their fans cheer because they're smelling a 2-0.
Yeah, it's feeling very, very good. The outer ring already dead, and we mentioned this. When it comes to Elise compositions, that is exactly what you want to do. You just want to stand in the jungle now, collect yourself some kills, make it very dark for SKT. But it's still SKT. 23 minutes in, they're most certainly not out of it, and 3,000 gold isn't enough for you to feel comfortable against this team. I do need to just address the ridiculous thing that I just said. Of course, Spirit doesn't have more than double the kills of the rest of his team, but he's got double the kills of the next highest, which is what I was trying to say. I just got overly excited.
I think people would have given you the benefit of the doubt there, Atlas.
I don't get a lot of benefit of the doubt.
That's true. You're a play-by-play. You don't really deserve it.
Hey, thanks.
Who's better, Bjergsen or Faker? You're on record here.
Damn it, quick shot.
We love you, quick shot, by the way.
We certainly do.
Sometimes it's so tense that you really do need to cut the tension with something else, because SKT going down 2-0 twice in a week.
Yeah.
Again, like I only had a couple of minutes to check stats, but I don't believe that's happened in the LCK era since the start of spring 2015. Hasn't happened yet here either, but the mind does start to wander.
And you were talking about item timings and things like that, Papa Smithy. Afreeca Freecs have got themselves to a fantastic point at this particular stage. Kuro has 20% CDR, building towards that Zhonya's Hourglass's item number 3, and look at him going toe-to-toe against Faker, feeling pretty good about it. But the redemption does come down to try and turn the tide. Teleport going to be followed, but Kuro will, of course, have the Rift Walk to get himself out. Arrow glazes some spiderlings as it moves past.
Teleport used, Ashe ult used, outer top lane turret still up after all this time.
Oh, Kuro, gets himself out of the way with the
Is
flash.
there a turnaround here?
Yeah, we have the Glacial Fissure coming in as Peanut is going to get stunned multiple times as Antara has to get out of underneath this turret. Now Kramer getting free damage onto Peanut, who has been wild growth. Not a lot of ultimates left remaining here on the side of SKT as Spirit looking to try and claim some lives. But Afreeca, they probably don't want to chase too far forward. Unbreakable's good from Tucson to deny the damage from the Talia.
Okay, double teleport used to answer the single used by SKT. So no teleport now advantage for anyone on the map. Only the Weavers one, even that's down as Kuro's really playing with fire now.
He's got to chill out just a little bit. That seismic shove, not necessarily in the direction Faker wanted it to go, but still going to get him out of there. I felt Baron, Papa Smithy. I felt it in the waters.
A Crit Cloak on the way to the Infinity Edge, but still Kramer 2,200 gold away from his goal. Maybe even more than that.
Has been sitting on those items for a little bit of time so far. Might be a little bit closer than we imagined. Can't check it just for the moment. We're going to take down this blue buff, complement that 20% CDR that he already had.
Antara actually pivots from basically the Jax build we've seen from everyone since Jax has come back into the meta, the Titanic Hydra. Even the Tiamat, obviously a second item, but Titanic Hydra rush straight up.
Yeah.
And is going for more of a team fighting approach. He's going a lot more respectful with his build. And what this means is that the early inevitability of, well, you guys do whatever you want, I'm going to split push this Jax, is lower because his wave clear is pretty limited with this build. He takes time to go through minions without the Titanic Hydra proc to clear the backline almost instantly. And that means that SKT are really going to call him into teamfight more than expected. And they really do start to fear the relentless aggression of specifically Spirit, who is basically using flash off cooldown to try to kill Bang.
Well, now the Afreeca Freecs moving towards this Baron. There's vision available for SKT, but remember, no teleports from either top laner or Kuro. But Faker does have the Weaver's Wall to close some distance for himself.
Sweepers are on cooldown now, and there's warding trinket on Kuro and Marin, so not enough exclusive vision, so not going to be a real start.
Wow, hitting Kuro with an Ashe Arrow is a very difficult prospect. Thankfully, that was more having vision available rather than anything else. Helped him out.
But what is SKT's plan? Because SKT so often have a plan. You almost always know what their win condition is, how they'll move forward. They drafted early in this particular draft and also a Jax to have a secondary win condition. But so far, I'm not convinced in terms of what they've been approaching to do. They've lost the highest priority Drakes. Map control is pretty even. And Kramer has been able to take free CS and basically trade waves with an Ashe, which is the dream. It's the equivalent of Ashe and Kog'Maw being in a side lane and Kog'Maw getting free farm.
Yeah.
Whenever the hyper carry or the higher scaling carry is trading CS with an Ashe who's more for the utility and, of course, does respectable damage in the late game, usually you need to be getting multiple wins elsewhere on the map to make up for what is very clearly a mismatch in the mid.
Well, now you've got Kassadin going back to base. Most likely will be, oh no, doesn't quite get towards the Zhonya's Hourglass. About 800 gold left remaining on that. It's Kramer successfully clearing out minion waves, and yeah, his damage is improving, and that means that that ability to clear out minion waves also improves along with it. His outer turret looks impossible to break for SKT, who've only managed to take one so far with the Ashe push on the bottom side. Marin now gets his minion wave beyond the river. He'll now back himself to base as well, and that's the 3-item spike. Gargoyle Stone Plate done. We mentioned this in game number 1. Marin's Jarvan, at that point in a team fight, really does get very difficult to deal with.
I mean, he's ready to go. He doesn't really get much stronger than this. He does decent damage without bursting anyone. And he's just happy to sit on Faker or Bang, trivialize them from a fight, and his job is done. So Marin is ready to go. Gotta say, only the Zhonya is short from Kuro being ready to go. Jax is split pushing, but Marin has started grouping. They were looking for a pick into Baron, but he's gonna have to back away.
Yeah, he's going to be able to teleport very, very soon as well. Thankfully, Untara does have his backup, so that time where Afreeca could work around Untara not having that available is now gone. And Marin's going to pick up this minion wave as it heads towards this turret. So it might be SKT's turn to capitalize.
And again, track every time Untara goes to play a side lane, and remember that compared to every other Jax game we've seen recently, he doesn't have Titanic Hydra. What does that mean in terms of the flow of the game? Marin gets more of a reprieve to look for a kill, to look for a pick, and then can just recall and use the home guard buff to get back to the turret without the turret being dead, because with all the tankiness being built, the pushing is slower. Speed of the game being increased by a Baron being started, but spotted out well by SKT.
Yeah, Freecs as well, not losing a whole lot of health from it either, as Tucson is actually pretty tanky right now.
If that's a Titanic Hydra, Marin can't leave lane. He has to stay in lane and teleport. Now, he has tankiness for a team fight, but is that what you're really looking for on a Jax? I'm skeptical when we see Renekton's go second item into Adaptive Helm, and I'm kind of the same thing with the Jax.
Yeah. But Papa Smithy, 3-item spikes across the board for Afreeca Freecs. They are well and truly online to get things done. You got 3 items for Bang as well. I mean, nothing to scoff at there. You've got the Void Staff completed for Faker. But now
strike on
Untara,
cooldown.
yeah, could be in trouble. Kuro making his way in, but the Cataclysm's there. No leap, no counter-strike. He does have the Grandmaster's Might for some tankiness as the arrow used defensively. But Untara doesn't have to flash and does get himself out.
They don't get anything out of it. No summoners used by the side of SKT. Only the Ashe ultimate, which isn't going to be anything to write home about.
Yeah, it doesn't have the Essence Reaver build, so maybe a little bit more meaningful than it could be for Bang, but otherwise no worries there at all. Not quite level 16, so still a decent cooldown, but yeah, absolutely fine. And SKT is trying to get more damage on this outer turret in the mid lane.
They just love to take down an outer mid lane turret. It has been their bane all week. You'll remember game 1 2 days ago where it took them 35 minutes to take down the outer mid lane turret they desperately wanted to be able to turn on to Baron. Against a Kassadin comp, they haven't been able to do that. And it's the sort of thing where their coach will wonder why, because they had the run of Spirit's jungle. They even took away his first Raptor camp at the start of the game. The plan was supposed to be shut down Elise, shut down the jungle pressure, really profit off the Kassadin. That hasn't happened, and things have gone better than expected for jungle control on the side of Afreeca.
Oh yeah. Peanut's now going to be able to eat some honey fruit as Untara is skating around towards the bottom side of the map. Bang sort of out on his own as Peanut is going to get stunned by the concussive blows. That's a jungler, and he's dead through the wild growth as well. So big cooldowns as Kramer gets bursted out by Faker. Wants to get himself out of the way, but it's a good redemption to get the health bars back for Afreeca. And they could look to the Baron if they want to take the risk, but at the moment just wanting to set up for a bait.
What will SKT do? They don't have vision apart from one ward that was controlled. Afreeca aren't interested in starting Baron. Their Baron speed is not the fastest. For now, they look to peel off.
Okay, now back to the Baron. While that minion wave is still there, and they do have a Mountain and an Infernal Drake, Papa Smithy. This is going down very quickly. Oh yeah, Kramer as well has got a lot of damage, and that's the secure as Untara now a little bit further forward than he otherwise wants to be. Okay, Cocoon is going to land from Spirit there as well, but you mentioned the tanky items. He is going to be able to tank up a lot of that damage, and SKT looking to go down, grab themselves a dragon of their own. It's an Infernal Drake as well, so definitely something worth taking away from Afreeca, if anything.
See the assist pings, Afreeca know what's happening, but realistically, no ability to contest it. Also, Kuro hasn't backed yet, so hasn't been able to spend the gold that he's picked up recently. So an answering Infernal means that the Infernal advantage no longer there for Afreeca.
Also means Elder Drake is going to be equally as terrifying for both teams as well, as that one's going to be the next one to come up.
I wonder how much gold Kuro is sitting on. Void Staff, likely to be his next item, so he can do damage to Peanut and Tara.
Yep. Oh, this is the dream. Alright, just going to stun all of the minions, but unfortunately doesn't kill them all. I want AP Jax. Afreeca not going to be able to do enough damage here. And by AP Jax, I mean Gunblade into old Trinity Force Jax, who just had AP for some random reason.
Can't really shove minions at all. Again, we come back to the build without Titanic Hydra. Jax has a big weakness in wave clear.
Yeah. Kuro probably does want to go back to base, like you said, but this split push against the Jax seems to be working for him. So he's just going to keep the pressure on. Inner turret was free on the bottom side for Afreeca Freecs. As now Kuro's actually just going to go for a kill. Faker's in there as well, as looking to try and get himself out.
Trade
there
flashes.
It is. No, doesn't even
That was
flash.
just a riff walk, my apologies. So Antara does flash. Faker was there. Afreeca move up the super minions in mid lane.
Aaron taking a bit of damage there from Bang, who's slowing him down with each of these shots. The Q doing some extra damage, but that just spells the end of this inner turret, and Afreeca move themselves to about a 7,000 gold lead, almost on the dot. We'll just transition around.
They just want to keep the Baron power play as big as possible. Can't catch anyone in transition. Just looking to brute force down the third inner turret, sorry.
Okay, Kuro. Damage blocked by the Banshee's Veil. Peanut has linked his Knight's Vow with Faker to help him out.
It's helped a lot of junglers in the past pick up world championships. My liege.
Yep. Jump on the back of him as, okay. Just going to use a zoning Glacial Fissure to grab the last one of the ring of inner turrets. And Turret now starting his split push on the bottom side, but I feel like the damage has been done. Afreeca now need to go back to base, spend what is the money in their pockets from this 8,000 gold lead and continue the destruction moving forward. Lord Dominic's Regard done for Kramer. Probably wants some form of lifesteal to come in next, and I'd expect a Mercurial Scimitar would be on the way. But he has managed to get in front of Bang as far as farm. He's hit 4 items on the Xayah, and you have to remember that this guy is 6-1 on the pick as well. He's very comfortable on this champion, even if now he's taking a lot of damage from Faker. As in goes Spirit, looking for the cocoon, but doesn't get it.
Faker is just getting all the flashes from Spirit. He is exclusively looking to assassinate down the mid laner. Makes sense. Faker has no mana, so won't be putting any pressure on the map, but it's the Braum walking up at level 13, so he doesn't have too many cares.
Okay, Weaver's Wall going to come in. Tucson going to go for a ride. Yeah. Bang looking to try and take this one away, but Spirit is going to smite at Mara and looking for the Cataclysm right on top of everyone as there's the double knock-up. They're looking for Antara. Does get a decent snap, but what the heck was that? So much damage coming out as now Kuro's going to jump on Wolf. Good arrow, but Kuro doesn't care. Bang now. It's just so many kills in a row for this Kassadin, who's just getting Riftwalk after Riftwalk. Peanut in trouble. Yeah, that's going to be the Featherstorm, and that'll do it. And now Afreeca looking for the base, but they don't have a minion wave, and that's actually getting stopped by the minions further forward. Faker getting some follow-up kills here is the goal, but just can't move forward. Oh my god, Afreeca Freecs playing incredibly well, and you felt it in the waters. You felt like this could be their opportunity, but they've been capitalizing with excellent play on top of a possible slumping SKT. I know you don't want to say that word, but it does feel that way with a potential 5 games in a row. It's unheard of, Papa Smithy, but this is such a pivotal moment for Afreeca Freecs.
They don't have those win streaks to rely on if Antara does go down here. Both Blank and Untara's win streaks separately, interestingly, will be shattered in the same week. With the double hyper carry ban, SKT decided to reinforce their early game that has become queried in recent weeks. No longer the Kog'Maw, now the Ashe. But the moment that Afreeca got away with rotating their dual lane mid, we still have an outer mid lane turret up for the Kassadin comp this late in the game. We'll see the replay. You're wondering, will Marin pull the trigger? He gets both of them on the initial knockup, and then the moment the Counter-Strike is down, goodbye, Jax. Doesn't matter how many tank items you have. And they just keep diving in. You know, this is a level 18 Kassadin with Zonius, soon to be Void Staff. Kramer, as you say, is at 4 items. It's the killing fields, and it's through turrets, it's through logic. Afreeca Freecs. It looks like it's going to be that fateful 2-2-0s in a week, Atlas.
It's just incredible, and you have to go back and remember that Afreeca Freecs are a team that likes to play 3 games as often as possible. The only teams that they've got 2-0s against are MVP and Jin'e very recently. Normally, they're going the distance, but this is looking like a consistent Afreeca Freecs. I know I don't really want to say that because it feels weird.
Atlas, in the same series, we said don't bet on SKT and a consistent Afreeca Freecs.
Are we dreaming?
I'm not sure this would be my dream, but it's been an interesting day.
It has been a very interesting week. Samsung getting the 2-0. You wouldn't think that SKT, there's a team in a league in the LCK that SKT hasn't taken a game off in a season. That's happening as Ontara now looking for some damage onto Kuro. They take down the inhibitor unanswered to Afreeca Freecs.
Only team to have done that before. You can guess it. It's Afreeca Freecs. Different roster that time, but Afreeca have, under the org name, always had the lead. They came into this particular series 11-7 in games. Would be 13-7 if they go 2-0, and they have the win in series as well. Elder's going to be pretty free, you'd think, although Peanut, he's walking up.
To remember that Samsung, another organization like that, phenomenal Unbreakable comes out of Tucson, who's been having the series of his life. Teleport in from Marin. They're looking for the flank, and he's right on top of Bang. If he wants it, Kramer's going to get that kill. And it's like you said before, Papa Smithy, killing fields for Afreeca Freecs. 4 easy ones. Faker the last man standing, but not for long. Phenomenal shove you have to throw in, but that's the ace, and that is going to be the game for the Afreeca Freecs and the 2-0.
This is the week that SKT fans will want to forget. They'll probably make it to Worlds. They'll probably make it far in Worlds. But in this week, on the 15th of July, SK Telecom are 2-0 twice. I don't know if they had the right read on the meta. The Ontara win streak is gone. The blank win streak is gone. And Afreeca Freecs outplayed them pretty considerably. And today, drafting concerns that a lot of people said about the earlier series this week, I think those really can't be the full story.
Yeah. And yeah, you can't just talk about a slumping SKT, because I said it and I regretted it immediately, because this game isn't about an SKT slump, in my opinion. It's about Afreeca Freecs finding a winning formula and making it work 2 games in a row. And it wasn't exactly the same comp. It was the same sort of idea for Afreeca Freecs, but it wasn't the same composition. They have multiple ways to win. Just looks brilliant, and both sides of the map as well. I mean, this could be an Afreeca Freecs ready to make a gauntlet run.
It didn't matter to some people that SKT lost at Rift Rivals. It wasn't a tournament for Worlds points. It was just a tournament for fun, people think. They lost there. The fans were unhappy, understandably, from Korea. They moved forward. That one game has become 5 Atlas, and now is where everyone around the world starts to take notice. I feel like they've over-indexed on split pushes. They've tried Jax with multiple different members. It doesn't work for them. They've had other identities, gone a bit more standard in this game. Didn't really work for them. They really do need to go back to the drawing board. They play very soon. They play on Tuesday against Jin Air, who admittedly also lost today. I think if they lose that series, that's when people really will talk about slumping SKT.
Yeah, I agree with you. And there has been times in the past where it looks like SKT don't have the correct read on a meta, something like that, and that time has been and gone. You know, you have different patches, and then SKT have done the research, but early in a patch is when they often have the doubtful times, but it's been capitalized on better than we've ever seen it capitalized on by teams like Afreeca and Samsung this time around. And I love that you mentioned that Afreeca has always been the Achilles heel of SKT. Well, you look back to 2014, it was Samsung back then as well, so both of the teams that have capitalized in the past have certainly done so this week.
But whose fault is it? That's kind of the problem that SKT fans will have. They're so used to success. This is the team anointed to win Worlds basically every year. Is it Huni's fault? Is it Peanut's fault? Is it Koma's fault? Is it Faker's fault? I don't really feel like there's one person that's letting this team down. Faker was trying his best to wave clear and buy time. I think the Ontara hype needs to die down a little bit. Again, he's had good results, but to me that was a strong 4-man, and just him being less dive hungry than Huni, for example. Ontara Peanut, Ontara Blank, it's more defensive, and defensive is where SKT have been able to shine for the majority of these years. But really working out exactly what the problem is, I think, is going to be complicated even for Koma to work out, because they've now tried a few different things these weeks, and all of them have left us wanting.
And I just don't know who you'd give the MVP to. It is going to go to Kuro back-to-back games, so we are going to get the solo interview. Moves himself 300 points ahead of the second-place MVP. But so many players deserved it. Marin played incredibly well with his teleport flanks, with his keeping down of Ontara on the top side of the map on his Jarvan. Tucson once again had a standout performance. So many huge plays, but Kuro able to assist in this first blood and felt like it's very difficult for SKT to make anything happen afterwards, and that was a cute flash.
And I'd like to shout out Spirit as well, who had a really tough game with how much of a contest there was at level 1. The plan from SKT seemed to be battle ward, hold down Spirit. He went boots of mobility. He had tough lanes he needed to turn. SKT had a CS lead in 3 lanes for the majority of the game, and yet Spirit did his job, pressured, they got off successful ganks. He took a Rift Herald with a Kassadin mid lane. In general, I think everyone from Afreeca holds their head up high, and no longer is it one person functioning at once and then someone tilting or someone getting unhappy or everything falling apart at the seams. It was a team performance from Afreeca, and their decision-making more often than not was spot on.
Yeah, and we haven't even mentioned Kramer, who's, once again, his Talia, incredibly strong.
That's because it's just another good game from Kramer. Kramer is having a wonderful summer season, reminiscent of his spring season last year, where people were saying, where does this guy stand on the AD carry charts? Once again, you have to ask those questions because he's now a consistent machine.
He is. And there's a lot of them now in the LCK as well. Bang didn't have his best performance ever. That shove looked great from Faker, but this game was all Afreeca Freecs in every single role. Kuro certainly looking great. And he has for the whole week as well, but we are going to throw it to an interview with the man himself, so let's throw it to Joel for some translation.
Thank you very much, guys. This is Joel with your last interview translation of the day, and we're here at Afreeca Freecs. Just another surprise day for these guys as they pick up another 2-0 victory, but this time against SK Telecom. But right now, we are going to be having an interview with the MVP, the only MVP of the series, and that is Kuro for the interview. I'm just seeing you so often nowadays. What's up with you? You're at 1,100 points with the MVP points. And it just seems like that solo MVP is just like a trend for you now. Yeah, I think I'm very thankful for the Elise for coming with these successful ganks early in the game. That just got me big enough, fed enough that I can control the game right after that.
그 정도로 사실은 모든 팀원들이 잘해줬기 때문에 오늘 MVP를 받은 것 같습니다.
솔직히 저희 팀원들이 다 잘해줘서 이긴 거라고 생각해요.
And I think that I owe it all to my teammates that I actually won the game today. Every single one of my teammates did their part and did it so well. And they're just wonderful teammates to work with, and I'm really thankful for these guys.
1세트에 재밌는 좀 구도를 가지고 왔어요.
And the first game was one of the most interesting we have in a while. We had a Rumble jungle. Yeah, Spirit was constantly telling us that he was really good at his equalizer. He was a go-to at equalizer. So, you know, we wanted to test him, see how good he was at the equalizer. So, you know, we gave him a chance. So we thought that, you know, we could rotate it around with Martin and Spirit. So I thought that, you know, Spirit did well. And I think it was a reliable pick for him. So, was it an intended pick when you guys first took out the Rumble? Was it intended to be a jungle? Or was it supposed to be rotational? Not really sure about that one. But I think it could go either way. And the opposition really showed a priority on Talia, going on with that and early in the ban pick phases of Game 1 and Game 2. And what do you think about the Corki and Talia matchup? Yeah, Talia is actually one of my personal favorites as well. But I think it's one of those champions that doesn't show any mercy even in the early game. So I think as long as you're careful in the early parts of the phase, I think you're gonna be patient enough to get through the early parts, which gets you strong enough that you can take it on during the mid phases. And we just saw such a series of wonderful plays for you today, and we have a video highlight. I think we can show it, but all these side steps and movements that you've shown today. And this confidence has been rising up from your side recently. I think the champions that will always be my favorites are now meta picks, and that's just getting my confidence up way higher. Is there any tips regarding those champions? I don't know. It's just it has to be your teammates putting in the CC, then it makes an easy target. So that's kind of what you have to rely on.
상대방이랑 아다리가 잘 맞으면 죽기 때문에.
I think that one of the important thing is also be communicative with your opponents to see, you know, what you're gonna be doing at each phase.
상대가 이제 바로를 가져가는데 어떻게 보면 굉장히 위험한 타이밍이었는데
And we thought that one of the situation where they took the Baron, it would have been a very dangerous situation for you guys, but somehow you guys did come back from it.
첼 와드도 좀 잘 돼 있었고 저희 팀이 좀 저랑.
Yeah, we had pretty good vision up around that area, and even with some of our teammates dead, we wanted to still go for it. We knew exactly what was going on with the vision that we had, and we thought that, you know, with the Rumble going up first, I think it was a good chance for us to go for this one. Yeah, I believe the communication was that you would not let these guys go. And I believe this was the decider for the actual result of Game 1. This is where Corki popped off right here, killing off the opponents one by one. How do you feel looking at yourself play?
좀 모니터링을 좀 하는 편인데.
I usually do monitor my plays, but
경기를 보면 별거 뭐라 그래야지? 좀 잘해야 될 것 같아.
but when I do see my plays, I always feel that I need to improve on so many things. I don't look at my good plays, but I look at my bad ones and try to see how I can improve on those things. And a lot of people do say your efficiency is the strength of your mid lane, and that's kind of the strength that a lot of people look up on you.
일단 5년 거의 4년 반에 가까운 대회 경험도 있고.
I think a career worth 4.5 years to about almost 5 years. I think that experience goes a long way. And I think that it allows us to be more stable and efficient. In the second game, you showed up with a different pick this time around with the Kassadin. And what did you think of that pick, particularly with the composition? Yeah, Kassadin is one of just my favorite picks that I like to go with. And it's a very comfortable and very convenient one for me, so that was just a comfort pick that I wanted to go with.
상대방이 이제 후반으로 갔을 때 하드 캐리 할 수 있는 원딜들 케이틀린, 칼리스타, 코그모, 트위치 원딜을
And you guys banned out the ADC away from SK Telecom with all the hard carries that potentially is in the meta right now. Yeah, they went with Lulu so early. We knew that they were going to try to go for a heavy carry ADC, and we tried to ban out as much as we could. And I'm sure, you know, even in the early game, all the way through the mid game, the mid lane and also the bot lane was a struggle for you guys. Yeah, we knew that we trusted that once we made it to the late game, we wouldn't be weaker than these guys, and that's just kind of what we relied on. We try to be patient, even if we didn't have the best laning phase in the early on. We try to rely on the late game. And so you felt that even despite the bad early game, you thought it was a still reliable thing. But what we want to talk about is actually the Baron play was actually a very swift Baron call by you guys. And it seemed like you guys were a little indecisive at first, but you guys went for it regardless. But how do you feel about that play? I don't know if they have a video highlight for that. I want to see if I can see it and talk about it. This was in game 2, what they're talking about. This is right here. Yeah, this was a situation where the jungler got cut out, so we had enough damage, and we knew the speed of our damage was fast enough that we can go for a quick Baron call. So a lot of people, a lot of my teammates said it would be complete nonsense to not go for the Baron here, so we just had to go for it. And they were kind of having their eyes on the Infernal Drake as well, so that just got us a little more room to go for the Baron quickly. And it just seems like one of the highlights of Afreeca Freecs is the teleport use with you and also Marin as well. Yeah, Marin really is the primary shot caller with the teleports. And he also helps me with the teleport calls as well. So whenever he sees an angle, whenever he sees an opportunity, he really tells us all that, you know, teleport play is coming up. And usually those are very clean plays that he predicts way before it happens. So I think with most of the teleports, I think Marin does make the primary shot calling. We had no idea Marin was going to come through a teleport. He was just going to say he was going to come straight forward. Was that his call as well? Yeah, we took the dragon and we thought that, you know, this was a good situation to go face them on if they were to come and fight us. But Marin, you know, just he came with the teleport and ended the game. Basically, that was the end of the game. And it just seems like even you getting the MVP, every one of your other teammates did so well. Yeah, I guess, you know, I played better than those guys, but those guys definitely did play well. Yeah, Spirit didn't like the fact that he didn't get an MVP. But I also believe that he really did deserve it. So he was a little disappointed about that one. But I still feel good getting the MVP myself. It's all about myself. I'm so happy. So with wonderful performance in Game 1 and Game 2, you do pick up the solo MVP. Would you like to say anything to your fans out here cheering for you? We did get a very clean 2-0 victory against SK Telecom, so we feel very good. And we always thank everyone with the fans, with the coaching staff, and everyone that helps us out to, you know, grow together as a team. So we just continue to ask for your support. Thank you very much. And that seems to be the end of the interview. Back over to you guys.
Thank you very much, Joel. And I think that, yeah, Spirit does definitely deserve an honorable mention, but I'm happy seeing just Kuro. We've seen him a lot so far this season. I
really like the call out to Marin about teleports. No surprise. We know that Marin is one of the best teleport users of all time. It reminds me, though, that Kuro's teleports on Lissandra and previous metas were off point. So having Marin there, just like Mada and Lupa had that special connection, is proving to be a special connection. And now the 5, the connection they're showing, propelled them to, like they said, a clean 2-0 victory. And here's where it gets interesting. Longju do leapfrog SKT. And tomorrow, KT rolls to play Everate over at the Gangnam Stadium. If they win 2-0, Atlas, SKT go into this week, 3 weeks before the end of the season, in 4th.
And they started this week in 1st.
Outright 1st.
Yeah. Just insane. What a swing for the team. And of course, no one's feeling like SKT are down and out in any way at this point.
What if SKT finishes 4th and Afreeca finishes 5th? And we have a best of 3 between Afreeca and SKT to decide who goes to the best of 5 stage. That's when SKT are going to have an interesting time.
And that's when Summer 2017 becomes my favorite season of League of Legends ever. Because that gauntlet would be the most incredible thing. And we've already set ourselves up to have an incredible gauntlet as, yes, tomorrow we're going to have MVP versus Rox and KT versus Everate to see whether we are going to put SKT in that 4th place position.
It's surreal. It's surreal, Atlas. This has been a weird week with so many upsets. I mean, even BBQ winning 2-0 earlier was an upset, but SKT, a lot of things, I just tweeted about it, a lot of things falling at the same time, a lot of problems they're having. Who is their best roster? They don't seem to know anymore. Their identity with strong split pushers like Jax, that's not working for them either. They have to play again on Tuesday, and Koma's going to have to really burn the midnight oil, I think, to really work out, because even though Jin Air comes in out of form, we know they're not bad. They beat SKT 2 weeks ago. Sorry, beat Samsung 2 weeks ago.
Samsung,
It's amazing how 1 week later, kind of everything's up in the air.
Yeah, and BBQ just beat Jin Air. Jin Air beats Samsung. All sorts of crazy stuff has happened. SKT's gone down 2-0, but ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have to say goodbye. It's going to be over at Gangnam Stadium tomorrow. We'll see you next week.